Well, I like to say this. I think everybody's an entrepreneur. It's naturally inherent inside the DNA. Like, where I live at the Biltmore, these two little kids, boy and a girl, every Saturday, they're out there with their lemonade stand. All these walkers and joggers are going by. They're selling lemonade. I sit there, look at them, and go, good kids. And but I think what happens is our school system takes it out of them. It teaches them not to be entrepreneurs, it teaches them to be employees. So that's why I'm personally very happy that we have Ducey, Governor Ducey in office, because he's an entrepreneur. I love him dearly. So I'm pretty biased about people who can make money versus people who spend money. I'm not running for political office, as you can tell, but I really do think we need to teach young people to be entrepreneurs and know how to make money so we have a more prosperous society.
I think a great model for this show is to look at somebody who may be 14 years old and considering their options in life. Maybe it's an option of business, maybe it's an option of crime. Maybe we're talking to somebody that's sitting down at one of the learning centers at Goodwill, and they've hit rock bottom and they're trying to find a way to pull them up. And so I'm glad that you brought up this issue of being taught to be an employee, because hopefully we can take the filters off in this conversation and let's get to truth. How does somebody go from rock bottom to being able, through their own entrepreneurism, to make a living in a legal way?
Well, the operative word is legal, because as we know, crooks are entrepreneurs also. So that politicians are entrepreneurs, and some of them are crooks, as we all know. But the key word is legal, ethical, and moral entrepreneurs, and that's really what I stand for. And how do we do that? We got to change. I've been down there many, many times. I've been at below rock bottom. I started the first nylon and Velcro surfer wallet business. And I was in my 30s. Business went straight up and went down below zero. How can you lose more money? Investor money. So I was down $800,000 at 32 years old. And my rich dad and my poor dad, my poor dad was a great guy. He's a school teacher, head of education for the state of Hawaii. And my poor dad felt sorry for me. And my rich dad says, hey, congratulations. You lost your first business. See, it's in the mindset. He says most entrepreneurs will lose 3 businesses. So rather than run and declare bankruptcy, he says, look, go talk to all your investors. Tell them you messed up. Tell them you're going to work it out. You're going to pay them back. And go fix that business of yours. So rather than run and hide like some of my partners did, this is in Hawaii where I started the Velcro wallet business. I had to go back in and kind of find out most of the mistakes I made. And then when I could pay people back, because the business was up and running, then I started to pay people back from the successful operation. So I learned more from failing than I did in all my years of school. So that was really good. And then I took my little nylon wallet company out of the surfer market, and I took it into rock and roll, of all things. So then I learned how another whole end of entrepreneurship, and that's what paid off my $800,000 in debt. So I always look at failure as an opportunity to learn and get bigger. Unfortunately, our school system teaches kids that if you make mistakes, you're stupid. And in real life, the people that make the most mistakes are the smartest people. You look at when I play golf. I go out there and I practice, but I don't practice 1/100th of practice making mistakes. You practice to make mistakes, right? So guys like Tiger Woods, guy Jordan Spieth, McIlroy, they've made more mistakes than I ever will. So the guys that make the most mistakes in life win, except in school, because you get punished for making mistakes. So it's just in your mindset. And so when I lost my first company, it was great. I lived on the street. I was homeless, got yelled at a lot by my investors. It was building self-esteem. I said, I'll pay you back. you trusted me, I messed up, but I'll pay you back. And it was that spirit, it's called the entrepreneur spirit. I rebuilt the company, took it out of surfing and took it into rock and roll. So I was working with Duran Duran, Van Halen, the Police, and old bands, and we pulled that out of bankruptcy. I never declared bankruptcy, but I paid back my investors. I still had no money, but I paid back my investors.
By the way, you just listed all of the bands that are on my phone. So
The greatest bands going, except for the Beatles, and the Beatles are great.
Beatles are number one. Okay, you wake up tomorrow morning. Let's have some fun with this. You wake up tomorrow morning, and you're on the street, and you have nothing. You don't have a single contact in your network. All you have is the knowledge and experience that you've had throughout your career. How do you build up from there?
Well, I've been there many times. So it's no big deal. You just figure out what's needed and wanted, and you go do it. You know, people always kind of dump on, fast food industry. If I had to do it again, I'd go work for McDonald's. And the reason I go work for McDonald's, you know, whether it's $7 an hour or 15, I don't really care. I don't really like McDonald's food, but they have the best business systems in the world. You know, how else can a company take virtually non-college educated people and build a fast food industry across the world? And they have the best system. So right inside little McDonald's, you can learn everything you need to learn about business except for the management side of it. So I just go work at McDonald's so I can learn even more. So I look at life as learning. I'm constantly learning. You know, I'm reading constantly, studying constantly. I spend most of my time with entrepreneurs. I don't spend my time with people who complain about the economy, you know. So nothing will really change. I just go back to being an entrepreneur.
I can't tell you how fun this is for me to have you on here and to give you these scenarios. This is an absolute hoot. Let me tell you a story very briefly of a guy who had a successful restaurant.
Right.
He had a wonderful family, wonderful life, and within 6 months, lost his business, went into bankruptcy, lost his home, and his wife left him. A year, he goes through this horrible, just rock bottom, feeling very sorry for himself. He grew this beard, and it was this horrible, horrible beard, and I begged him to shave it. It represented everything that was going on wrong in his life. It really was a gross beard. Some people grow a nice beard. This wasn't a nice beard. But then he wakes up one morning. He takes his salsa recipe. He goes to his son's house. He creates 100 jars of salsa. He sells it door to door. He creates a subscription business. He gets the people that love his salsa to put it on a credit card that charges it every month, and salsa comes to their door. Then he gets into bashes and to fries, and lo and behold, he's back on top.
Yes.
What I'd love to have you do is take this true story, and I'm not allowed to say his name. He won't let me say his name, but take this true story and analyze that. What is characteristic of this experience, and what would you say are the key things to learn from it?
Well, I used the word again, it's called spirit. It's called the entrepreneur spirit versus the employee spirit. They're very, very different. Because from the spirit goes to mindset. You know, an employee will always use the same words. I want a safe, secure job with a paycheck and benefits. That's not a very strong spirit. Whereas an entrepreneur will say, hey, I fell down, stand up. You know, that's all there is. And I've fallen down. It was $800,000. It's not a lot of money, but to pay it back from nothing, it required a lot of spirit. So a lot of people talk about trust in God and belief in God and all this stuff. If you're an entrepreneur, you better live it. You know, you better have a spirit that's so strong. You cannot let other people's opinions and criticisms. At that point, he started to learn. He says, I learned a lot from my last business. Let me take what I learned from my last business and put it into this business. The same as I said, I was in surfing when my my nylon business went down, I took what I learned and transferred it to rock and roll. You know, I mean, and then I transferred it into education. So today I'm an entrepreneur in education. I teach entrepreneurship because I understand what entrepreneurship is. The other thing that qualifies me to be an entrepreneur, or a teacher, should I say, is I'm one of those kids that don't like school. You know, school is good for people who like school. But here is my poor dad, head of education, PhD, on the governor's board of Hawaii and all this stuff, and his kid, me, and I'm flunking out of school because I can't read, I can't write. I said I couldn't read, I couldn't write. I was bored out of my mind. You know, I was just, hey. So what I did instead was, that's when I met my rich dad, who was my best friend's father, and he used these things called a game. See, games are the best teaching tools. See, when I'm playing this game, this is how the rich taught their kids battle strategies called chess. My rich dad taught me to be a rich man playing Monopoly. We played Monopoly hour after hour after hour. You know, the formula for great wealth of Monopoly is 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. So today in Arizona, I own 8,000 greenhouses and several red hotels. I just play Monopoly for real. So that's the power of a game, because a game engages me mentally, physically, because I actually have to move things, emotionally, because when somebody knocks me out, I better wake up. You know, I made a mistake. And spiritually, because it's spirit that wins. You know, if you just saw Golden State play
Wasn't that something?
Oh, you know, everybody's, I mean, I love LeBron James, I love Cleveland, you know, but one guy cannot take on a team. And I think LeBron scored 60% of all the points in assists and all that, but a better team beat him. So when you look at business is the same thing. Business is a team sport. I have to have good accountants, good attorneys, good marketing guys, good tech guys, great staff. I have to have great leaders, you know. The trouble with most entrepreneurs are self-employed. So they quit their job. And, you know, in America today, the SBA, the Small Business Administration, says there's 28 million small business owners. 28 million. 24 million are classified as non-employers. Remember, they're a one-man team. You know, they'd be like, this guy said, okay, I'm going to take you on. Are you crazy? But that's what most entrepreneurs are trying to do. Because that's what they're taught to do in school, to be the rugged individual. You know, in school, I was very successful as long as I could cooperate at test time. But in school, cooperation at test time is called cheating. In the real world, the guys that have the biggest team win. So all I focus on is putting the best team together. Meanwhile, a lot of the time, the A students in school, they're the doctors and lawyers, they're sitting there all by themselves. They're sitting ducks, but they're entrepreneurs. Do you know what I mean? It's just a mindset, tactics, strategy. I went to military school. I'm a former Marine. So I think like a military operation, which I love chess. So most entrepreneurs, you know, they have this job and they go, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And this guy's just massacre them.
That's very good.
Because they went to school, they learned to get a job, and they take tests on their own. They have to be the smartest. That's like the LeBron James. I don't want to be the smartest guy on my team, but I want to have the best team. And that's why I win most of my games.
That's great.
I think like this, and the doctors think like this. I'm going, yeah, I got you, man. For some reason, I get the sense I'm going to win.
That's right. And let's talk about that person. Let's talk about that person who now has identified the entrepreneur within them, and they are getting ready to get ready.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that goes without saying is you can learn from other people's mistakes. What advice do you have for this person that they need to know or prepare for before they go and take those first steps and starting their own business?
Well, I wouldn't recommend being an entrepreneur. I love it, but it's not for everybody. I mean, everybody can be one, but not everyone should be one. Because what most people are, they're not entrepreneurs, they're self-employed. And the tax laws are written against the doctors and lawyers. Doctors and lawyers pay the highest taxes possible. Okay, so this guy here, the A student, the doctor, lawyer, the financial planner, the consultants of the world and all that, they pay the highest taxes. This guy here pays the lowest taxes. So you don't just wander out there not knowing anything about money and tax and business. That's a long way of saying most people go like this. They're working for corporate America or the government and all this, and they say, oh, here I am. They don't know anything about taxes, debt, insurance, all the things that count. They don't know anything about it. Oh, I'm a doctor. I'm an attorney. And meanwhile, here's this entrepreneur, like a Steve Jobs. Gotcha. They've lost from the start. Not from these guys, but the government punishes these guys the hardest. Like I said, the small businessman pays the highest of all taxes. In this state, it's approximately 63 or 64%. This guy can pay 0. Do you know how much that information's worth? And most guys don't know that. So that's my rich dad's mentality. This is my poor dad's mentality. So when they become entrepreneurs, oh yeah, I went to Harvard, I went to Yale, I'm an A student, I'm a doctor, I'm an accountant, attorney.
So if I understand what you're saying, before somebody should jump out into an entrepreneurial world, your recommendation would be that they put together their team, that they make sure that they have a team around them.
The team is the hardest part of the game. You know, that's like, okay, I'm going to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers next year. Who am I going to put on my team? Well, my brother-in-law, who's fat and ugly. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Oh yeah, I should have a team. Well, you better choose your team really carefully. Or you know, my son needs a job. He's a drug dealer, but he played basketball in high school, and that's what entrepreneurs do. They don't choose their team with any kind of precision. Now, I made that mistake. You know, I brought on like friends who thought they were entrepreneurs, and they're incompetent. You know, they were terrible, and I was terrible also. The difference is when we failed in our first business, I went on. They went back to their jobs. There's a very big difference in mindset. So all I'm saying here is this: if you're going to understand this, study entrepreneurs. Like I studied Edison. You know, I studied Gates, Jobs. My biggest hero of all is Jobs, Steve Jobs. I studied Walt Disney, Henry Ford, Tesla. You know, this guy Elon Musk, this Tesla car. Elon Musk is the new Steve Jobs. I mean, this guy is out of sight. Smart, he knows the game very well. Tesla knows how to, Musk knows how to use government subsidies, right? You've seen that article about him? 50 billion or 5 billion in government subsidies. These guys use the government because we're partners with the government. I receive lots of government subsidies because I'm a partner with the government. I'm not at war with the government. You know, and most entrepreneurs go to war with the government. I'd rather put the government on my side, which is what you're doing here at the Corporations Commission. So there's really a partnership between government and entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, if you don't know that and you step out here, government pounds on this guy. Mm-hmm. The reason they give Tesla all the breaks, number one reason, he's an employer. You know, New York just offered him all the solar business, Nevada the battery business, and Texas is space. So they give the entrepreneur the best tax breaks of all. My primary business is real estate. So I have 8,000 units here, and I get massive tax breaks from the federal government as well as the state government. Mm-hmm. So it's really knowing the game of this guy versus this guy. And most entrepreneurs, they could be really smart guys. They step out here, the government pounds on them, and these guys pound on them. That's the difference.